Well, I want to make sure that I respect your time and make sure that we get out of here at 9 o'clock, but I want to thank you all for being here. I think it's so important for us to come together, especially for seminars like this, especially seeing you come here with your families. I think it's so important for us to kind of talk about how we can make families stronger, about how we can do this. As Barb said, I've been working with an organization called Friends First for 7 years. And one of the main programs that we have is a mentoring program. And I have been involved with that ever since I was a senior in high school. So I've been working with over 3,000 students across the past few years, talking with them, asking them questions about what are they going through, asking them questions about what are they dealing with at school, how their friendships are impacted, how their relationships. And so I want to be able to share some of that information with you tonight of how we can reach our students, because the main reason why I was able to kind of start this journey as an educator for parents, just to give some helpful tips, is because back in March of 2009, so about a year ago, this is my 15-year-old cousin. Her name is Mallory. And for such a long time, she was 15 years old when she passed away. She was struggling to try to find a way that she could connect with her parents, to feel like she has a loving home. And what happened was that she did have a few medical conditions with her heart, but what we found was a can of compressed air that you use to clean computers with to get the dust off. We found that next to her bed after she had passed away. She had been huffing. And so she had overdosed. And so we are not completely sure 100% what had happened, but we are thinking that this was a contributing factor. And so with all of the real dangers that our youth are facing today, including just, you know, what everyone says, typical teenage stuff. Everyone has heard that before, the typical teenage stuff. I want to be able to help you feel like you might take some information away from this presentation and go home and talk to your kids about the real tough issues like drugs and alcohol and sex, and how you guys can have a better relationship with your students. I graduated from the University of Colorado with a degree in communication and also minors in applied math and computer science, so nothing really goes together. But I was like, whatever, I can put a projector together with a computer, yes! So these are positive things. Now, everyone, and this is something that Barb said in her presentation, so this is kind of something to test you. What does TLC stand for? When you first hear TLC, what's the first thing that you think of? Tender loving care. Well, you're wrong. So, for tonight, we're going to use TLC in a different way. And we're going to use it for teaching, listening, and communicating. Now, I will explain how this works together and how, in life, what we do is, as our youth are young, we're the teachers. When they reach adolescence, we need to be the listeners. And then as they get into college and out of their college career, we need to learn how to communicate with them on a different level, communicate them truly as adults. So I'm going to be walking through this. There is a lot of information in this presentation, and I am sure that there will probably be some questions that you have. I invite you to write them down so that you don't forget. I will have a little bit of time at the end of the presentation to answer your questions. So just want to make sure that all of this information that I can get through and make sure that I get through all of it for you. So let's dive right into it. And the first thing, of course, that I want to talk about is teaching. And what I like to think of is this is taking the front seat. If we imagine that we're on this journey with our youth, kind of like a car drive. Let's imagine we're going on a trip. Where do we want to go? What state? Utah. What is that? Utah?
Oklahoma.
All right, Oklahoma, yeah. No. So, let's go to California, kids. Everyone's choosing weird in-states, like South Dakota. No, let's go to a beach. Let's go to a beach. Okay. It's too cold here. I can't. This is the awkward time in Colorado where you don't know whether to wear shorts or not. So everyone's looking weird. So, but this is a time for us to take the front seat. Now, a story that I always like to tell is when I was very young in elementary school, and my mom said, "Jonathan, I would like for you to take out the trash." And what do you think I did?
You did.
Well, I don't want to take out the trash. And I was like, okay. And I'm just like, I'm trying to figure out, like, now what is she going to say? And she says, "You will take out my trash." And I was like, "But I don't want to." And then started the pouting. So my mom said, "Jonathan, I understand that you don't want to take out the trash, but this is my house and my rules, and if you don't like them, you can get out. And so what happened is that she put me out on the porch. I was bawling for half an hour out on the porch because I was like, I have nowhere to go. And so my mom, finally, after half an hour, she opens up the front door. She says, "You're going to take out my trash?" I'm like, "Yes!" And I'm crying, going, "Oh my gosh." But this is what happened. When my mom opened up the door, she said, "Why don't you want to take out the trash?" And we started a dialogue on, why was it that I really didn't take out the trash? It's so simple. In the time that I was crying, I probably could have taken out the trash 15 times. Like, I probably could have made up trash and just like, okay, go, So I was like, I could have taken out the trash. So my mom and I started a conversation of, why didn't you want to take out the trash? As a young kid, you really don't have any explanation. You just want to question authority. You just want to be like, I don't want to take out your trash. You can take out your trash. Like, all right, get out of my house. I was like, I don't know where to go. So what was great, though, is that this was an opportunity for me to question authority. As parents, it's really difficult. I'm not a parent yet, I'm sorry. When my mom and I had this conversation, it was great for me to know that I could question her authority. It's a weird thing to think about because I have seen parents where their son or daughter says, I don't want to take out the trash, and we have this tendency to kind of blow up and be like, whoa! Why don't you want to take out my trash? What's fantastic about it is that if you allow your student or your youth to obey your command without any question, you're actually raising a passive student. If every single time you are telling them, you will take out the trash, you will call me, you will do this, you will do that, you are going to do this, you're not going to question what's going on, blah, 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 blah. And your son or daughter does it over and over again without questioning. Number one, we can see it as respect. That is a good thing. But what can happen is that if you do not allow your son or daughter to question your authority, to ask questions why, then what can happen is they can become passive. Because then everything that they are told to do, they are going to do it without questioning. Because we are the teachers. We are teaching them. If someone asks you to do something, question it. If someone asks them, do you want to smoke weed? If they're passive, they're going to be like, all right. And so that's why as the teachers, we need to be able to say, take out my trash, and this is why. You are in my house, you are a part of this family. It's important for us to help each other. And so when I understood the reason why, then I could make a better decision. And after that, when my mom said, take out the trash, I knew why. So when we're teaching our youth, when we're teaching our sons and daughters, the first thing is that we need them to understand to respect authority. We need them to understand that. When you ask a command of them and they do it, we want them to be respectful of the command. But like I said, be warned, sometimes we can raise passive children. So that when a command comes, they just say, all right, done. Now, the next thing is that you do need to know your child, though. You do need to know your child. We need to be able to understand what they see as their options. We need to hear what their solution is. We need to be able to understand, because if we are just saying, do me a favor, take out the trash, and my mom has no idea why I am saying no, for all she knows, I'm having a really tough day. So if I'm having a really tough day and I'm saying, I don't want to do the trash, Mom, and she's just like, you will take out my trash, and I don't care what you have to say, because sometimes you have to be able to know your child, hear the solution, and all that. You need to understand where they're coming from. But this is the big thing. Through mentoring young people for 7 years, they know what's right and wrong. They absolutely know what's right and wrong. The one thing that my mom always did that was very helpful for me was ask me, what do you think was wrong? What do you think is right? My mom didn't tell me what was right and wrong because she didn't underestimate me. She said, you know what's right and wrong.